My Lords, it's a pleasure to follow the noble lady Baroness Tyler when I agree with her and also when I don't agree with her. And I will note the phrase the noble lady used, toxic mix. And I think there has actually been broad agreement around the chamber and indeed from the government benches that we have a huge problem. The noble lady, the minister, said the market, in one of the earlier groups, the market has prevented local authorities from meeting their duties. My stress in that term is the market. What I am postulating is the market is not the appropriate way to provide, to ensure that we have the right care places in the right places with the right services. And that is a statement of a Green Party philosophical position. We don't believe that any form of care profit should be made from it. But I think it's also, in this case, just very clear from what people have been saying. The minister also said the current market has driven us to this. In one of the earlier groups, the noble Lord Russell said the market is clearly not working. So this is, yes, it is my ideological position, but I think here, I have an overwhelming argument for saying that the market is just the wrong model for providing this sort of care for vulnerable young people and children. And so to speak to my Amendment 174, this is a new clause that would prohibit the delivery of children's social care services by for-profit companies. So what this says is that it has two very simple provisions, the first being that any new institutions created under this bill should be for not-for-profit. And it says within 5 years of the day of this Act, then what is now for profit would be converted. Now, as the noble lady Baroness Sanderson rightly said, this actually follows the model of what has already happened in Wales. And yes, I do acknowledge that Wales is smaller than England, but nonetheless, Wales has shown the way. And I think it's worth looking at why Wales actually went that way. A significant part of that decision, we were talking in groups before, and again there was broad agreement around the House about listening to young people. One of the driving forces behind Wales's decision was it listened to young people in care and care-experienced young people, and they told the minister, we do not want people making profit out of caring for us. We think there is something morally wrong with this. We think this is not, we're not eggs being sold in the supermarket. We're not just a normal private landlord. We are vulnerable young people, and people making profit from the way we are being treated, we just don't think's right. And I would really urge noble lords to listen to that. And I think looking at what the profit motive does, we were talking before about regional care cooperatives, and of course one of the predecessors for that is there have been regional and sub-regional commissioning frameworks. And I note a study from 2022 by What Works for Children. It found that those regional and sub-regional commissioning networks, the key problem why they were not working was a lack of provider sign-up. Providers thought, we can make more money from the spot market, so we don't want to sign up to standard contracts. Now that is a real threat presented to the regional care cooperatives model, but it's a threat that's always going to remain there while you have for-profit companies. Now I take the point made by the noble lady Baroness Sanderson that there's for-profit and there's for-profit, and there are better and worse. And in many contexts in your Lordship's House, I've expressed great concern about the impact of private equity and its whole model of loading down with debt. And this picks up the point made by the noble lady Baroness Tyler in her amendment. And we've seen this twice already in aged care homes, where we've been through a cycle where we have gone very close to large numbers of homes closing under one private equity owner because they've loaded down with debt. And care homes is an obvious area. I mean, in some ways it's slightly less of a risk with care homes because so many of them are being put in the poorest areas with the lowest property prices. Whereas what we've seen in some of the aged care homes in areas with higher property prices, they just sell the home off for development for luxury flats, and that covers the debt. But nonetheless, there is a real risk with that model. But I would say that I'm sure there are very good people running a single home and with good intentions, but I come back to the point about what the children themselves feel, that they are a profit unit. And we've talked so much about how vulnerable and how badly generally society has treated these young people, I don't think we should treat these young people as a profit unit for anybody. Now, I'm happy to argue about whether 5 years is exactly the right time period or whatever. I'm not wedded to any of the detail of this amendment, but I'm going to ask you to listen to the children.